Hey everybody, Will from Studio Zombie 3D here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Creality Ender 5 S1 printer. This is a pretty exciting printer for us, because the first printer we ever had and used was an Ender 3. So we're pretty excited that our friends at Creality sent this over. Let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to do is get everything removed from the foam and laid out. You're going to be greeted with the material guide and the setup manual first thing. Next, we have our little accessory box. This box contains all the assembly screws and tools needed to assemble a printer, as well as the SD card and other parts such as the power cable, the spool holder, and the Bowden tube. Next, we have the spool holder frame itself, and the two rear supports for the printer. Next, we have the parts for the platform supports. And here's the actual supports themselves. Next up, we have the Z-axis assembly, with the threaded rod and the stepper already installed. Now we can get this first layer of the foam out of the way and continue. Next up underneath, we're going to have our filament sample spool and the top assembly. Creality includes a 200-gram spool of filament with the Ender 5 S1, which is plenty to do a few test prints and more. Next up, we have the top assembly itself. This has your X and Y axis pre-assembled on here, as well as the hot end and extruder setup with their new Sprite extruder. It also has a dual duct running off a 5015 blower. And next up we have the printing platform itself. The Ender 5 S1 comes with a magnetic PC spring steel sheet, which is really easy for moving prints. It also has two notches on the back, making lining up the bed super easy. Next we can get the next layer of foam out of the way and get to the base and the four profiles. And here we have two of our upright profiles. They have numbered stickers on them to make installing them really easy. And here's our other two. And finally, here we have the printer base itself with all the electronics and a touchscreen. The Ender 5 S1 comes with a 4.3-inch color touchscreen with a really nice and easy-to-use menu system. Now that we have everything unpacked, we can go ahead and get the printer set up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the four profiles. The two profiles with the number 1s will be on the front, and then the number 2s and number 3 will be on the back. The 3 being on the left side and the 2 being on the right. The easiest way to install the four profiles is to have the base on the side. It's always a good idea to have somebody give you a hand if you need it. We're going to go ahead and install the two screws on the bottom of each of the four profiles. Once we have the four profiles installed, we can go ahead and get the top component installed. You're going to want to make sure everything is straight and square once you install the top. Now simply attach using the 4 screws supplied. With the top assembly secured, we can go ahead and install the bed on a Z-axis frame. Creality suggests using the packing foam from the box to support the bed and frame while you install the 4 screws. Next, we're going to go ahead and flip the bed over. This way we can install the 2 bed supports underneath. The 2 support frames have been marked right and left, that way you know which side to put them on. Attach them using the supplied screws and we're ready to go ahead and install the frame into the printer frame itself. Once everything is tight and secured, we're going to go ahead and put the Z assembly into the printer. The easiest way to do this is to tilt the printer forward, giving clearance to the bottom and top so you can angle the bed in there. Then, once it's lined up, install the 4 screws to hold it in place and we're ready to continue. Now that our C assembly is in place, we can go ahead and install the 2 supports on the back. These are also marked right and left. Next, we can go ahead and install the spool holder itself. Next, we can go ahead and attach all of our cables in the back. First, the cable for the printer bed itself that goes into the base where the electronics are. And then the stepper end stop and then the stepper motor itself. Also, while we have the printer turned around, you're going to want to make sure the voltage is set correctly on the power supply for your country. Next, we're going to go ahead and make sure all of our cables and wires are neatly routed throughout the printer. The Y-axis has two spots provided using zip ties to help keep the wires out of the way. And the main ribbon cable has a spot on top for it to clip into. There are also 5 flexible flat cable clips provided that help hold them against the printer frame itself. Next, we're going to go ahead and plug the cable into the hot end assembly itself. There is a support in place to help hold the cable. Now we can go ahead and plug in the filament runout sensor, the end stop for the Y-axis, and the Y-axis stepper motor. Using the supplied flat cable clips, we're going to go ahead and make sure the cables are nice and tidy. Next, we can go ahead and install the boden into the filament runout sensor and then to the hot end, and then using the supplied clip to hold the boden to the ribbon cable itself. Now, all that's left to do is power up the printer and level the bed. But first, we're going to take a quick look at the various menus on the Ender 5S1. Creality has included a really nice, easy to follow menu system with everything you need to get everything set up and calibrated on the printer. And here we are, ready to run our first leveling. The first thing we're going to do is home the bed and run through the manual leveling sequence. Once in the home position, we're going to use a piece of paper and set the offset. Next, we're going to go to the four corners and use the knobs underneath to adjust the bed just until the paper and nozzle starts to grab. Once we've finished manually leveling the bed, we're going to go ahead and run the auto level. Hit auto level and then start. This will run the 16-point auto level program using the CR touch. Alright, now that the auto leveling is done, all that we have to do is load some filament and try some test prints. And here we are starting our first test print. The first one I decided to try was the little rabbit that's on the SD card. And here the test print's finishing up. All of the test prints were sliced using the 120mm profile provided by Creality with their slicer. And here we are. It's a super clean little print. You can't really tell with the camera, it wouldn't focus on the white filament very well. And here I am printing a calibration dragon at 250mm per second using the provided settings by Creality. I'm pretty happy with how this printer's been printing, and at 250mm per second, it's pretty clean. The Ender 5S1 is a pretty impressive printer. This skull dice tower was printed at 250 milliliters per second, and it's pretty clean. There's no real issues with the print, and at the speed it was printing, I'm pretty happy with it. Next up, I did a Captain Picard bust. This time I did it at 120 milliliters per second using 0.16 layer heights. And then print quality is absolutely amazing. There is no issues with the print, and it's an absolutely clean looking print. And here I have a Flexi Fox. These are always fun little prints to do, and this one came out absolutely perfect. I was pretty impressed with the Ender 5 S1. At 120 and even 250, your prints are going to come out clean. And with future support coming for the speeder pad, I can't wait to see what Klipper will do on here. Alright everybody, that's my quick review and setup of the Ender 5 S1. I'll have the speeder pad in here pretty quick, and I'll do an updated video with the Ender 5 S1 with it. Thanks for watching everybody, be sure to check our social media to see what's going on, and I'll see you in the next video.